I'm going. Good evening. Thank you for joining me on a Friday night. Kind of looks like my living room tonight. Trying to inspire you and remind you to use your plate often, especially for tonight's topic. Tonight I talked about using a new model. Roseanne and Amber have done sessions this week. Amber launching the new VibranceX this week. I'm kind of liking it. I'll explain why as soon as I share here to the group. Let me see here. If you are joining me in Facebook land and you would like to ask me a question, I always do my little ramble, my little workout, whatever I'm doing first, and then I will come and field your questions after the fact. I'm starting to see people tune in. So if you are joining me, if somebody could be a keener and just let me know if you can see and hear me on your end. I am going to share with the world. There I am. There's about a 20-second delay from with the stream service of me coming through. So if you are joining me on one of the pages that I'm sharing this to, you'll need to hop on over to the main Lifepro page. And when I get to the questions at the end here, you'll be able to join me that way. I think. Perfect. Okay. So tonight we're going to talk about some lymphatic prep work, prepping the pathways. There's a million terms out there. I see some of you popping in. So I'm going to say quickly hello to Jen, Elizabeth. Hello. Thank you. You can hear me okay. If you are joining me, I'm going to give a couple more seconds because I just shared out to the VIP group. If you are joining me tonight, please tell me where you're joining me from. I'm always curious where you find me online. If you're finding me through my vibration plate work or through Lifepro, and there's all kinds of reasons people are using vibration plates. But one of the most common reasons people are using vibration plates is it is the easiest way on the face of the earth, I swear, to turbo boost circulation and lymphatic movement. And lymphatic movement is becoming a little bit more of a hit or a key term when we move, lymph moves. So for those of you looking for a setting or a preset or the best model or the best workout, I do not work that way. I'm 20 years as a clinical educator and user myself, having got into this with a bad knee and about 60 pounds extra back in the day. So if I can be the teacher in today's world, any of you can use a vibration plate. When it comes to lymphatic issues, if you're dealing with sluggish lymph, you've had compromised lymph due to surgery, you are dealing with what I refer to as chronic issues. You're not dealing with a normal body. And unfortunately, as the world becomes more and more monitored as far as, what you can say online for health and fitness, Lifepro's got to be really, really careful, and they can't offer medical advice. So you've really got to adhere to what your doctor's guidelines for activity and therapy may be. First of all, there's really no one that can't use a vibration plate. I personally don't have contraindications. I have an understanding of modifying how you use the tool if you are dealing with deficiencies. So for today, we're going to take it way below baseline, assuming that you are dealing with compromised lymphatics. Maybe your doctor has told you, you got pretty sluggish lymphatic issues, you're puffy, you're swelling, perhaps you're recovering from something. Maybe you're dealing with lymphedema, lipedema. I have a large private group dedicated to lymphatic issues of all kinds. And a vibration plate is such a great tool. We think of it as this fitness tool, but for the lymphatic piece, even if you physically cannot move on your own, due to pain, paralysis, whatever that may be, it can move you. So circulation, blood flow moves and increases in flow, through accelerating our heart rate, but our heart is constantly moving circulation throughout our body. This can improve it. Lymphatic fluid is stimulated when we move, when we engage our muscles to move fluid. So we're going to start with a very easy prep video. And what I mean by prep, there's a lot of doctors out there that have penned their own phrases. I won't be having any of those side conversations tonight. Prepping the pathways, there's some key points in our body that are like junction points. And it's not uncommon that there's blockages, or there's a larger concentration of other lymphatic vessels, not getting the adequate flow in certain areas. And I'm going to walk you through something that I was taught. I am not an expert. I always tell my lymphatic story. I'm going to show you this remote too. This is the slap wrist remote that comes with the new VibranceX. What I think I love about this new plate is it's just basic oscillating movement. For any of you that have watched my sessions, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Extra movements like pulsation, lateral are nice variety, but the functional movement of vibration plates is oscillating. It's how we walk across the floor. And for lymphatic movement, it kind of chugs and churns, and you've got larger and variable amplitude values, which in Walmart term means if I go wider, I move more. If I go closer, I move less. So if you're dealing with, pretty bad symptoms of any kind, I would like you to just be conservative in your foot placement, starting with your feet. Just on this model, it's kind of cool. There's two things I like about this. It's oscillating movement. It's little and light enough, but I was pleasantly surprised if you've watched any of my rambles about compact plates. You don't want to go too small if you're dealing with lymphatic issues and you hope to stand on the plate. You want to make sure you got something that supports you. The cute little itty bitty machines, they're great for travel and seated use. But when you get into like standing and doing fitness and things, they may not be ideal to sustain what you want to do on it. And you may not be able to stand your feet wide enough to play with the amplitude. So regardless of where you are starting physically, if you are managing symptoms, you're supposed to be, recovering, let's say you're not your old self for whatever reason, bring those feet closer to the center, maybe an inch or two apart, to reduce the amount of movement. And I would like you to try, instead of starting slow, this is not a treadmill. This is a completely different thing. So you're combining two factors: how far you're moving, which is your amplitude, your intensity, how strong it feels, and the speed. And really, really slow speeds, especially if you're dealing with lymphatic issues or chronic issues, they can feel really choppy, jarring almost. So I would recommend bringing the feet closer, working with less amount of movement, and cranking the speed up a bit. This one has, I think it's 100 speeds on this one. I'm talking 20, 30, 40 if you can take it. What you'll find as you get going faster, it gets smoother. It's less choppy and wobbly. So just while I'm sitting here rambling away, obviously there's movement going on. And if primarily your issues are below the waist, if you've got known blockages or areas that you're trying to improve, could be neuropathy, there's always other things we're dealing with. This is a great way to just get flow going. But I want to talk about our total body thing. So prepping the pathways is we're going to prep 6 areas just by activating certain lymphatic pathways in our body to make our body more effective at the burst of circulation and lymph we are presenting. So if you haven't exercised in a long time, going longer and longer on the vibration plates, it sure feels good while you're doing it, but you've always got to keep in mind, is the body in a position to accept the capacity that you're presenting? So you've got to really be careful to not overdo it. I just want to make sure. Hello, Elizabeth. He's got Afib. The doc asked me about, okay, I'm going to come back to that question. I just thought maybe there was a technical issue on the other end. Okay, so feet close. I'm sitting on a bar height stool. I get asked about my stool all the time. I also have a sofa here. Maybe you're just sitting on the couch and you want to shake a little bit and get things going. It really depends on your level of comfort. For training, regular use, you're trying to improve physically, you're dealing with deficiencies, I would like you to consider investing in a bar height adjustable stool that's going to get you a little bit taller to compensate for the height of the plate. So you want those legs ideally at a 90 degree or a little better. So the first exercise we're going to work with is working with the upper body, and it's going to be the first part of our 6 areas that we're going to prep. You can do this seated on a chair, on the sofa. If you do not have a vibration plate, this is something that I recommend if you're dealing with lymphatic issues. Prep the system so the body can be more effective at processing that fluid, expediting waste, all the things it's supposed to be doing. So The first area is on the sides of the neck, and we're always wanting to work in towards the downward direction. We're going to start in the neck. Depending on your sensitivity, you can stroke kind of from the earlobe down to the nape of the neck. You can tap gently, okay? Probably 10 to 15 taps or 10 to 15 light strokes, okay? The next area is going to be the collarbone. Same 10 to 15 seconds. You can do this as a seated warm-up. You can do it seated in your office chair, on the recliner, okay? Next area is under the arms. For many of you, this is a common area of blockage. You can just do a light tapping or stroking again towards, if you know what I'm saying, okay? Feel free to correct me, experts out there. I know Jen will. She's the one who taught me, okay? Again, and a really important area, and before we go further, I should back up, but let's be mindful of our posture. When you're slouched over, this one area here gets naturally compacted. So think tailbone back. Nice, straight spine. Next area is just under the rib cage and above the belly button. If you put your palm, that area there. So you can do some gentle tapping, some rubbing, again, working downwards. I kind of like to tap 10 to 15 seconds on this one, okay? Then we're going to move to the groin here. You see? You can tap whatever feels better. A very common area, especially for my ladies with lipedema, the back of the knees. 10, 12 strokes, taps, whatever feels better. If range of motion is an issue and standing is uncomfortable, you might enjoy this seated. So just to review those areas very, very quickly, I posted in the event a link to a pathway prep that Jen, who's much better and trained at this than I am, but many of you aren't aware of this. And self-care, whether you have a diagnosis or not when you're dealing with lymphatic issues, nobody's going to do the self-care for you. So if you're dealing with like lymphatic issues, you've got swelling, and you just don't have physically the ability to get moving, or you pay for it when you do, using your plate, doing the prep exercises is a really great way to just prime the system. Okay. Again, those areas were just the sides of the neck, along the collarbone, under the arms, under the ribs, groin, and the back of the knees. So 6 areas. Some therapists talk about 9. Many of you who have taken lymphatic training, massage therapy, have probably learned this methodology to a degree. How perfectly, some of you dry brush, some of you use, compression garments. There's lots of different tools to engage lymphatic movement. What I want to be very clear is a vibration plate, because it turbo boosts. Keep your duration short, 2 to 3 minutes as a new user, using it more often, and do this prior to get the body prepared. Okay, so let's move on to some stuff. So that was the warm-up. That was prepping the pathways. I promised you a 5-move workout. And again, anytime you move lymph moves, a vibration plate, the premise of one is it increases what you're doing on the floor. More exercise effects. In this case, we're focused on the lymphatics. And we're going to start top down, which is a good rule of thought. We're going to start with some shoulder rolls. I can hear this song, shoulder rolls, shoulder rolls. So maybe backwards a few, do 3 to 4. You're not like clenching, like you're having a stress response. Relax, good breathing. Just try and do some circles with those, okay? Let's expand a little bit. Let the arms, there's a bazillion variations that you can add to any one of these. Again, at any time, if you're feeling it's too much on the legs or you've had enough, feel free to turn your machine off and just keep going through the exercises, okay? I talk a lot. Next one, I want you to just increase your range of motion a little bit. I'm about 6 inches too close to the door. Let's do some circles. I'm going to date myself. And, Karate Kid, I always think, wax on, wax off. Okay? The more you move, the more lymph moves. If you're dealing with frozen shoulder, any of those type of things. Okay? The next we're going to work on is not so much an exercise, but for those of you that do this kind of work now, or supposed to be, diaphragmatic breathing. Engaging that diaphragm and understanding how to exercise it properly goes a really, really long way in enhancing and boosting that lymphatic flow, especially in that key area here. So again, be mindful of the posture. The tailbone is tilted back. We're going to take one, whatever feels comfortable. You can do the palm of your fist. The goal isn't to like push in, but I want you on the exhale to slightly resist and make sure that you're breathing through here and not just up through the chest. So we're not through the chest. We're going to breathe in through the nose, out through the nose. Placing palm here. 3 big breaths. In through the nose, out. You should feel this area shrinking. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Awesome. If you are coordinated enough, an add-on I like to add to that one is some seated foot pumps. Working on calf raises, keeping those calves strong and flexible, ankles moving. These are all good things, not just for your mobility, your strength and independence, but it tends to be an area that gets swollen at the end of the day. Oh, I'm talking so much. I've already run twice here. Okay. So you could do your inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Just a variation. Okay. Next one we're going to move on to is a little bit more of a total body move, but we're going to stay remaining seated. We will do one standing pose with a kind of a mean variation as our last exercise, but for this one, we're going to engage both the arms and the legs while the plate is moving. This is going to be good for the core, the hips. You see all these things all over Facebook lately about the seated chair yoga, the Tai Chi seated. So I'm just going to do what's simple. We're going to do some seated marches. If you're picking up strength or you're trying to work on that, and you've got some hand weights or some wrist weights, you can add a little bit of that, some resistance bands. Only work within your range of motion. I don't want you lifting it that you're like laboring and stressing. You want to get a nice, decent pace. If you are dealing with hip, knee issues, be mindful. Don't push beyond your range of motion. Maybe you want to swing, whatever feels good. Just get those arms and those legs moving independently. Okay. If you wanted to go double time, maybe do 5-10 reps that way. Elevate that heart rate. There's lots of ways you can get a little more cardio going in a seated position. So the last exercise we're going to do, for those of you that have not stood on a vibration plate before, please do not take on more than you're ready for. Keep the feet close. We're going to stand, and we're going to keep the knees just slightly bent. If you lock the knees, the resonance, the vibration all goes up to your head. You can feel and you can hear the difference. So knees are slightly bent, and if you got head sensitivities at all, teeth, ears, eyes, use common sense. I explained earlier, wider is more movement. It's more impact. It's more intensity. And if you're dealing with chronic blood flow issues where your doctor has said moderate to light activity, you have no business doing high intensity. That's what wide is. Bring those feet closer speed, maybe hip width apart if it's comfortable. And the last exercise we're going to do, if you're comfortable just standing here, this is just going to give you a more total body effect. Standing on the plate is weight bearing. So we're getting into that realm of better bone density as a long-term density, muscle strength, stability, balance. Those things are a perpetual benefit that happens just by standing on this. And that's a big advantage that oscillating movement offers as well. So while we're doing all the stuff, your body's perpetually trying to keep itself upright in this ever-moving surface that you're standing on. So we're going to do a little bit of a squat. So I know many of you have lymphatic issues, and you're trying to get fit again, or you would like to get back to being fit, or just get back to your routine. You do not have to do a lot to start gaining strength, bone density, and increasing that calorie burn. So are you ready? We're just going to squat, and what your squat looks like is going to vary on your range of motion, any deficiencies. And notice how I'm not moving up and down. You can, but if you're going really fast, 100 miles an hour, you're kind of losing the purpose of what you're standing are. I would recommend very slow or non-moving positions, especially if you're dealing with arthritic, anything, bad joint, anything, inflammation, those type of things. So just hold, and what you'll feel, just be mindful of the posture. We're not just, going through the motions. Try and keep those shoulders back, breathing, and then just stand up. Hold for 30 seconds if you're able. Anything longer than a minute, you need to make the position more challenging. You're a little more conditioned than the average guy. So maybe you do want to go a little deeper. Maybe you want to move slightly. What your level of fatigue is, and whether your goals are fitness or just feel good. Really, it's a different approach to using the machine. So it's very hard when people say, well, what's the best setting for lymphatic? There's so much more to it. What are you dealing with? Where's the lymphatic issues? Is this something you're in dire need of right now and in a critical situation, or is it just something you're thinking ahead on? So when you move lymph moves, and a vibration plate is simply an environment that makes exercise positions more effective in less time. If you're dealing with lymphatic issues, you're probably dealing with some inflammation as well. So reducing exercise time, getting those muscles to a level of fatigue, if that's the type of goal you're going for, in less time, is going to present less inflammation, and maybe get those muscles to a point where you're actually fatiguing before the knee's giving out for a change. I'm going to take 2 minutes and bring this closer to the camera because I want to give you guys a little bit of a closer look. I'm not sure if I can stay lit up. It's not super heavy. I would say it's a little smaller than the mini. It is certainly lighter. It is a little tippy. This one has a weight capacity of 264, I think. I love the middle. So this is, I'm going to do this here. So this illuminates in the middle. You can see automatically start. I don't want to hit start while I'm holding it. It's got some preset programs, and it's got a manual increase or decrease in speed on the console. I like the surface of the plate. There's grip, but not excessive texture. So if you're like me and you like to use your plate barefoot, it's very, very comfortable. And then the remote, get a little bit closer up. This is where you can get into some of your programs. You can turn it on if you've got your base powered up on the switch, your speed, and then manual mode, of course, is where I like to spend my time. So great little unit. It is on site. This is only available through Lifepro Direct in the US right now. So if you are shopping, I had every intention of dropping a link. I will do that at the end of the live, and I will also do a post to that short lymphatic prep that I mentioned earlier that is in the event, but I'll drop that again here in the feed after I get wrapped up here. So I'm going to come closer because it's now question time. So again, if you're joining me, please tell me where you're joining me from. And if you are dealing with lymphatic issues, tell me a little bit more about what's going on. Let me again say hello to who everyone is here. Oh, look at y'all. Okay. Hello, Jen. Nice to see you. Elizabeth again. Hello. Betsy, how are you? You're very, very consistent. Jen, hello. Wanda, hello. Very consistent as well. Elizabeth. Okay. So my husband has Afib, and we asked the doc about him using Lifepro, and the doc had no clue what it was and couldn't answer him. Anyone heard of this? I deal with a lot of Afib, and I could line up 100 people with Afib, and they're all going to be very different in their needs and their goals as far as why you're using a plate. So if you're dealing with Afib, anything cardiac, anything blood, it's a vibration plate is a way to be active. It is a way to increase circulation. Some people think it's like this shock therapy treatment. It's a very, very different thing. So one of the things I will say when you're dealing with Afib is you tend to you suffer a lot of fatigue. You just can't get the wind. So a vibration plate properly guided is actually an ideal tool because it can be very short in duration. And part of the reason I like to coach short durations, more symptom management as a way to, this light is like way bright in my eyes, is it's too long of a session is going to deplete or drain your energy, whereas a shorter session is going to improve, boost the energy, the stability, the balance, especially if this is something he's recently been diagnosed and dealing with. I right now, I've been at this 20 years. Like I have had clients that I've supported through heart transplants. I'm so old at doing this. So it's not a matter of, is it okay for this condition or that condition? There's lots of contraindications out there, and most manufacturers, including Lifepro, are not going to offer this kind of guidance, because online nowadays there's just such a culture of no advice allowed, if you will. So it's more a matter of not whether the plate is going to cause the issue or not, or what is the ideal way to use it for the condition that he's dealing with. So I have done a couple of conditions on heart issues. Roseanne's done a couple. It's Heart Month, so maybe check those things out. But if he's very, very poor in his mobility, and he's fearful, which is usually the big thing, Elizabeth, have him start seated as I did today. I will drop my top sessions that I recommend for users, and one of them is my short getting started video. It's about a 6-minute crash course, and he can certainly use some improvement on the circulation, but like lymphatic issues, you want to make sure you're not moving more or too much before the body's ready. So it's simply a means for him to get active, and in a very low impact way. So I hope that offers a little bit of insight. And if you go to Lifepro's YouTube channel and type Debby with a Y and heart, you'll probably find about 10-15 different info sessions I've done. Jennifer says, replying to Elizabeth, I believe I saw a contraindication file in Lifepro group. Do some research yourself. I hope I just answered that question. As I said, Lifepro is a manufacturer. Every manufacturer is going to have a long list of contraindications, because they have to. They're not there to offer medical advice. It's like asking Lifepro, what's the best routine on a treadmill for my Afib? Most people are more familiar with a treadmill, so you tend to get less, blank stares, if you will. But a vibration plate in many ways is just such an ideal therapy to give you an idea of how gentle it can be. I have a very large special needs cerebral palsy group, not really related to what we're dealing with, but a lot of spinal surgeries, a lot of heel cords, those type of things. And I support users as young as 6 months on vibration plates, and 2 to 3 months post-surgery, depending on their situation. So it's more a matter of dealing with someone medically trained using a vibration plate, or I'm very blessed to say that I've mentored and worked with a lot of surgeons in my time, and it's just not a mainstream thing. But if you apply logic in what you're doing on the plate, it can be an ideal thing for lots of those types of conditions. I hope that made sense. I am seeing Crystal. Hello, how are you? Nice to see you. I am seeing Pam, and I'm seeing Carol Webster. Glad you're back. Thank you. Yeah, for those of you that weren't aware of the drama, Facebook decided, I don't know what I did a couple weeks ago, but I couldn't even comment. It was killing me not being able to go in there and be all bossy and throw my vibration plate science at your way. So thank you for joining me tonight. I love doing weekends because, I don't always have a life. And today it's very wintry and very cold outside where I'm coming to you from. And I always look so forward to sharing my passion, my craft. For me, it was, I was up for a knee replacement 30 years ago and told that I was, overweight and had to lose some, but I couldn't run. I couldn't jump. I couldn't play basketball. I couldn't jog. I couldn't do any of the things that I, at the time, knew burned calories. So, my first vibration plate launched a career change, and I never did get the knee replacement. Not saying that I never do, but, it's amazing how receptive and how well the body can improve and heal itself given the proper intervention. So activities being a big one of that. If you are dealing with lymphatic issues, which is the topic of today's live, please make sure you're doing all the other common sense stuff, getting the sleep, getting the water, giving your body nutrient dense foods where possible. If you're considering tonight's feature machine, if you will, I kind of like it, and everybody knows how picky I am. I've got so many different vibration plates, and Lifepro never ceases to amaze me. The littler plates are a little bit more ideal as a second machine or a seated use machine. Reminder: this is a capacity of 264. If long term you are looking at working out, and so is your 6'4" hubby, I would suggest this is maybe more the ideal recovery portable second machine, and maybe lean towards the turbo or one of the Rumblexes. The larger a machine is, the more it's going to have weight capacity and support not just larger users, but sometimes you want to add weights or other things to what you're doing on the plate. And after you kind of get through the basics of, you know, what feels good for your things that you're doing on the plate, you're only limited by your imagination and your range of motion, as I always say. So awesome. I'm going to give anyone else, if you are wanting to ask me a question, make sure you're on the main Lifepro page. If you're watching this on the recorded basis after or YouTube down the road and you want to ask me a question, be sure to tag me at Debby with a Y, certainly on Facebook. If you just comment and don't tag me, sometimes I get buried in notifications and I don't necessarily get one from Facebook. I know that I don't all the time. But if you tag me, Debby with a Y, which is easy, you'll see my profile pop up and I'll certainly get back to you on any questions you may have related to tonight's session or use in general. I've probably covered it in more than 5 ways. You'll find the majority of Lifepro's videos on YouTube. So again, the VibranceX is on sale. It is limited to Lifepro's site in the USA. So check that out if you're considering a new plate. I really like it. And I look forward to seeing you guys probably next week. I'm going to do a couple of, maybe 2 or 3 nights of Deb in a row and feature some 5 to 6 short move sessions. Everybody's really busy this time of year. And while we're stuck indoors, it's nice to do shorter things in complement to other activities that you may have on the go. So have a great night. If there are no more questions, I'm going to say thank you for joining me. Enjoy your weekend and I'll talk to you guys again next week. Have a great rest of your night.